Do any of the following scenarios describe situations you have experienced? 1. Your hand is getting tired from writing the same comments on almost every student's assignment. 2. You are behind on grading. It is midnight and you can't help but think about how you need to grade a stack of assignments. 3. You just finished grading a stack of papers. You worry and wonder whether you graded the papers towards the beginning of your grading session different from the others. 4. Your assignments are somewhat confusing to your students. Or 5. You are tired of students arguing for a better grade on an assignment that you just graded. In this lesson, I want to start out by just talking briefly about the advantages and disadvantages of using rubrics in your teaching practices. Then I want to show you how to use the rubrics feature in Moodle that I just found earlier this week and I'm pretty excited about. Last of all, I want to show you some key resources for more information on using rubrics in your teaching. Let's talk briefly about the pros and cons of using rubrics in your teaching. My favorite advantage of using rubrics is that it saves me time. It makes the process of grading a stack of papers much more simple and straightforward. A second advantage is that it makes my assignments more clear to my students, and in return, I receive better work from my students. Another advantage is that it allows you to provide objective assessments while grading students' assignments. The only disadvantage that I can think of is that it takes a significant time investment to construct a good and effective rubric. Okay, I'm going to show you how to construct a rubric for grading assignments, and the example we'll do today will be within one of my courses on my web browser. When I'm done with this example, I'll show you some PowerPoint slides with these steps listed step by step. Okay, my step 1 is to turn editing on in Moodle. I do this by going to the top right and finding the button that says turn editing on. In this case, my editing is already turned on. So now I'm just going to go down to one of these open modules. I could do this on any module, but step number 2 is to add an activity. And then step number 3 is clicking on assignment. I'm going to give this an assignment a name. This is step 4. And I'm going to give this assignment a description. This is step number 5. Okay, step number 6 is I'm going to scroll down to grade settings and I'm going to select rubric. Step number 7 is to go ahead and set the other settings here. And we don't have time to talk about them one by one here, but I'll just select some that I was thinking would be good for this particular assignment. I am looking for feedback settings. I want to be able to provide feedback comments and feedback files. Okay, and 100 seems fine to me. And so the rest of step 7 is to select the rest of these settings. So do that as you wish. And then step 8 is to click Save and Display. This is going to bring us to a page where we're asked to make a selection. Step 9 is to click on Define New Grading Form from Scratch. Step 10 is to enter a name for your rubric. Okay, and now we're ready to start entering our criteria for each of our values. And then step 12 and 13 have to do with adding more criteria and more levels. So for this particular rubric, I just want 3 criteria and 3 levels each. Didn't mean to add this other level here. I meant to add a criterion. Here we go. And I'm going to add another one here that has to do with resources. No resources for more information or given. Oops. Okay, and now we're down to step 15 already, which has to do with what if we decided we didn't want one of these criterion, or maybe we added too many. All we have to do is click this red box. And one of my favorite features of this rubric in Moodle is that it allows me to make it so that I don't have to have the same number of columns for each criterion. In other words, let's say with this first learning outcome, or this first rubric item, I change my mind and now I don't really want this 1 point factor here. All I have to do is click an X, click on the red X, and now I'm down to 2 columns in that particular feature. And if I wanted to add it back, all I would have to do is click on Add Level. Okay, and there we go. But let's go ahead and keep that out of there. So now we have 2 point variations here, but 3 in each of these. And step 16 has to do with selecting the various options here. They mostly have to do with how do you want this rubric to be displayed to yourself while you're grading your students' assignments, and also how you want the rubric to be displayed to your students as they look at their results. Okay, and then the last step, step number 17, is to click Save Rubric and make it ready. Okay, so now I've created my rubric. Now when I want to go to use this rubric, all I have to do is click on that assignment in Moodle. It should be in there if we go back. Okay, here it is. I'm going to click on it, and to use this rubric all I have to do is click on Grade All Submissions, and now I see all of my students' names. And if the students submitted a file with their assignment, it would show up here so that you could download their assignment, and then you could have that side by side on your computer so that when you're grading the student, this rubric pops up. It's really simple. All you have to do is click on which point levels your students earned in their assignments. Okay, and I can type in comments. I can type in comments for each of these criteria, and I can type in overall feedback comments. And if I wanted to, I could attach a file. This file might be their assignment with my specific comments marked up on there. And then to grade this student, all I have to do is click on Save Changes. And now I can see their grade pop up here. Okay, what I'm going to do now is show you these directions listed step by step. There are 17 directions overall. So what I suggest is if you want to jot these down, just click pause in your video player and jot them down and then go to the next set of directions. But here are steps 1 through 6. Steps 7 through 13. And here we have steps 14 through 17. In the last part of this video, I just want to point out some references for you for more information. The first category is just to point out that there are some good references out there to get you started in writing rubrics. Many of these provide templates. One that I've used quite a bit in writing rubrics for writing assignments in my classes is Rubistar. Another one that I just discovered today is called Introduction to Rubrics. And the authors of that website were also the authors of this book. There's a book called Introduction to Rubrics that I'm curious to check out. It was written in 2005 by Stevens and Levi. It looks like a good practical book on how to write rubrics and some of the scholarship behind that. And the last reference is to point out that in the Moodle website there's all sorts of good activity in their forums and directions on how to use rubrics. Okay, that summarizes today's lesson on writing rubrics in Moodle. Good luck and have fun.